Welcome to Bears on Tap, hosted by Quentin Q. Crisco, Samir Patel, Sonny Verma, and the one and only Ron Luce, bringing you all the news, analysis, and opinions on the charter franchise, Chicago Bears.
The Bears are back. The boys are back. And, of course, good football's back because, of course, the Bears play another really good football team this week. I'm Ron Luce, joined by Samir Patel and Brendan Sugrue. We are here to preview the Bears and 49ers. This one is another primetime game for the Chicago Bears. This time it's Sunday night football. I always hate, gentlemen, this is a really hard rabbit hole with me really quick before we get back to this one. I hate when they flex games to Saturday because then they're like, well, it's Monday Night Football on Saturday. And like, because it's that broadcast team and that partner. And like, do we call it just Saturday Night Football if it's just the primetime Fox crew that usually does the 3 o'clock game? Like, anyway, I digress. Gentlemen, this is going to be a great one. Brendan, you are a different person this evening as well.
I am. Merry Christmas, gentlemen, for everyone who celebrates the holidays. I am taking a break from my long Christmas duties to spend some time with you fine, nice boys, to talk about the Bears, my true passion. Because as we know, Santa is a very busy man, but the Bears, for as good as they are being this season, there's a lot of praise given to the Pope, to Virginia McCaskey, to Ben Johnson, but no praise for Santa Claus. And Santa brings all the presents to the children and, of course, adults who most adults love when the Chicago Bears are good. So I just wish Santa would get some respect for giving Chicago and the Bears fans a true winning team.
Hell yeah, Santa. You're 100% right. You're 100% right. We're happy to have you with us tonight. Incredible stuff as the holiday approaches here. Samir, how are you doing? While we have Santa on the line, were you on the naughty list or this year?
No, I mean, I asked for a win last week for Christmas and I got it. So that must mean I'm on the nice list. So thank you, Santa. I know you're very busy this time of year, so I do appreciate you carving out some time to hop on Bears on Tap.
You're very welcome. We all know that every single person in Wisconsin is on the naughty list. I give those poor people coal and cheese, and they seem to love it. So this is a good holiday season for Bears fans, and I truly don't care what Packers fans feel. They can be mad at me, but you're very welcome, Samir. You were a great boy this year.
Santa, I'll tell you what, you still have a soft spot because you have empathy for those that live in Wisconsin. So of course the coal, but the cheese is a nice little, but I'm sorry for you type gift to make them feel at least a little appreciated this time of the year.
You're right, Ron. Thank you so much for saying that. You're right, and truly, I have to thank my elves. They're the ones who have given me the idea. They've softened me up over the years, because if it was just truly up to me, those people could rot in hell.
I gotta ask, Santa, what's the weirdest milk and cookies replacement you've ever seen in Wisconsin?
Oh, the weirdest one. Let's see. Oh boy. You know what? I was about to go down a road. I'm not going to do it. There's so many. I'll tell you guys off the air where I was going to go. I'm not going to do it. But let's just say Santa's seen some weird stuff up there in the land of milk and cheese, truly. And I'm just grateful for the folks of Illinois who leave me Malort mixed with milk and some cookies with Italian sausage next to it. That's truly Santa's passion.
I love it.
I love it. Just enough of a weird question to break Brendan's character for just a moment before he's able to get back to it. Oh, man. Well, I'll tell you what, speaking of breaking character, it feels like the Bears' schedule is breaking character, if that makes any sense, gentlemen. it's weird seeing them go to the West Coast. It's been a while. You got to go way back to that Raiders game earlier this year to find when they were out west, and it wasn't even a night game like this one is. In addition, it just I genuinely can't remember the last time. Maybe about this time of the year in 2018 is the last time I really remember them having kind of a late West Coast game.
I mean, didn't they play the Niners
2023,
last
the
year?
Chargers.
Was it last year?
We-
Did I totally
they
like
Niners
played
that?
last year in San Francisco.
They did. That was the late window, and that was like a 320.
Oh, you're talking about like a night, like a
Like Sunday
Yeah.
night, Monday night, or maybe even longer than that, to be honest.
That was 2023 against the Chargers. The infamous Velus
Yes.
Jones falling down on his butt,
Oh yeah.
not catching the ball. Just the Bears
That's
getting
right.
raced by the Chargers. Yeah.
That's right. I definitely blacked that one out of my memory. So I thank you for the quick reminder there. I'll tell you what, we got some comments already leaking in.
Love it.
Everybody's
Holiday
excited for
spirit.
this one. There's plenty to think about. But gentlemen, so with all this in mind, right? It's the late game. It's Sunday Night Football. It is a playoff bound matchup. Both of these teams clinching playoff spots over this course of games. The Packers losing to the Bears took care of a lot of things, and this was two of them. These two teams getting in. Initial thoughts on the West Coast matchup. How are we feeling? Because we got to see these San Francisco 49ers in primetime last night on Monday Night Football, and they put a pretty good beat down on the Indianapolis Colts. Samir, I'll start with you here. What's kind of the vibe check for you going into this game?
I'm excited for it. I think, the Bears, there's still doubters out there. There's still people that are like, I don't know if these guys can get it done. They don't always play a full game. Look at the Packers game. But I think the whole who have you beaten thing has been put to bed. I don't hear anybody say that, right? I'm excited to see this team go up against playoff teams, right? The Niners are a playoff team. The Lions may not get in, but I would still call them a playoff type team. And so for us, the Bears to be able to measure themselves against these teams, I think is very important. And like you said, they haven't gone out west in a while. Now, watching the Niners last night, they did put on an offensive clinic. They looked very impressive. Brock Purdy was making plays. Their pass catchers were getting open. McCaffrey is just a human highlight reel. So they will have their work cut out for them. But I'm excited to see Caleb go toe-to-toe, with just a good perennially competitive team. So I'm excited for it. I'm jazzed for it. I'm not going in thinking they're totally outclassed by any means. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Santa Claus, how about you?
Well, of course, this is a few days after my big day. I don't want, just in case anybody forgets, Santa's very busy this week, so I'm probably going to be kicking up on a beach watching this game late at night with Mrs. Claus. Hopefully, if she stays up. No, I'm excited, as Samir said. Going into last night's game against the Colts, I truly didn't fear the 49ers. I still kind of don't, because the Bears at this point have proven that they can play and beat anybody. They're going to be in any game regardless of who they're playing. The 49ers, at times, I feel like they can play down to their opponent. I wasn't too terribly impressed with what they showed against Cleveland. Against the Titans, like, they beat them, but the Titans were still able to put points on them. And then last night, yeah, they really put the hammer down on the Colts, with Brock Purdy having probably his best game of the year easily. But at the same time, Phillip Rivers was able to throw and move the ball against this Niners defense. And Rivers really struggled, I would say, against the Seahawks. They could only muster just like a few points. So it shows to me that this game's going to have a lot of points on it. I'm hoping that the Bears can kind of like reverse their fortunes, from this time last year going to San Francisco, because that was truly one of their worst losses of the year, just in terms of getting outscored, outgained, outclassed on every single level, when that was Thomas Brown's first game. Obviously, that does not mean anything this year. But yeah, I just think the Niners, they have a lot of nice pieces. They can beat you on offense, but they're also capable of having some pretty bad clunker games. So I'm interested to see how they respond on a short week, having to go back home on the West Coast to prepare for this Bears team.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the fascinating thing about this matchup is just the offensive genius that's at work here on both sides, right? Kyle Shanahan notably always evolves his offense. It's never the same, but it still has the feel, I guess. He's truly created kind of, I guess I'll call it a culture for his brand as a coach and what he expects and what he likes to call. And we know what Ben Johnson likes to do. And although they're not the same flavor of ice cream, they're still in the same cooler at the local Dairy Queen. These guys are a lot more similar, I think, than people realize in just the sense of schematics and how they scheme things up and how, what they like to call in what situations, the love for running the football and the true saying, hey, we want to start, end, and always be there. I'm really excited about this game. Dare I say this is the game, I think, where the Bears take care of business and like now it's truly for real, where now it's just like, oh yeah, like this team can 100% win the whole thing if they play their cards right and get the matchups that best fit them going into in the playoffs. I am personally, I think, using this game as like maybe the closest thing to a true benchmark. Like the Eagles are a good football team. That was a huge win. That one's right up there, right? But like I feel like you need a couple of those in any given season. And this one for me is the latest one of this is truly going to tell everybody. Here's where the Bears stand, right? Especially because, we saw 2 games against Green Bay where Green Bay figured out a lot against them. That's a well-coached, team. LaFleur has, again, Shanahan connections, right? There's a lot of similarities in that essence too. How do they compare and how do they stack up? I'm super, super pumped to see what happens.
The other thing I want to mention that I'm interested in seeing, because I think you're 100% right, Ron, is how does this Bears team respond now that they've kind of hit that first big milestone of the season? They've clinched the playoffs and they exercised some demons against the Packers. I mean, everybody's talking about the last few days. It's been the biggest win in so long in this town. It's crazy. Everybody's celebrating. It seems like the Bears players and coaches really took it to heart as well. So now what does that mean going forward? I'm very interested to see just, what that mentality looks like. Do they have maybe a little bit more? I mean, they're still playing for the North, obviously. And maybe by the time the Bears play, they will have already captured it. But still, like now that they've hit at least one milestone, what does that look like when they're going forward? Do they kind of wilt a little bit? Do they maybe just look a little bit softer, lay down a little bit more? Or are they even pushing it further and just saying like, okay, we've hit this point. Now we can feel like we can go even, that good, better, best kind of thing that Ben Johnson said, even just as it relates to the season goals. So that's going to be very interesting to see how that kind of shakes out.
Yeah, that is a great point. You're right. They've been playing all year to try to make the playoffs. I don't know how many of these guys have actually made the playoffs on this team with the Bears. Obviously, people like Joe Thuney have made the playoffs before, but I don't know if Jalen Johnson hasn't, right? Cole Kmet may have.
They both did in 2020. I think somebody said
okay.
It's 14 people on the Bears altogether.
Okay.
Maybe.
And you've got this message from this coach like, hey, we're not in the dance yet. We're not in the dance yet. And now you just got it. Is there a collective exhale, to be like, wow, we did it? Or can Ben keep these guys with that same intensity? Because you're right, Brendan. The North is still on the line. And now the Packers get to host a banged up Ravens team. I mean, I know the Packers are banged up themselves, but the North is still no gimme, right? That we still have to go out and execute. And I think Ben will have these guys fired up just by the way they came out in that Cleveland game, which was like, could have been a letdown game because of the way they lost in Green Bay and then gearing up for Green Bay again. You didn't see any of that. Like it was business as usual. Let's take care of it. I feel good about that.
Definitely. Scott with a great point here. Says it's 2 weeks to playoffs. We got a full tank of gas, half pack of cigarettes. It's dark and we're wearing sunglasses. Hit it. He's not wrong though. It really is 2 weeks of playoffs coming up. And this is the first game. It's a playoff bound team. The Lions that's a playoff game for them no matter what. Do you want to continue your season or do you not? Now, granted, you need a little bit of help if you're the Lions and the Packers need to lose to even set up a chance for them to make sense. And of course, they have to take care of business as well. But These are even if the Lions have nothing to play for, they would absolutely love to make the Bears' life a little harder. And the Lions would love to say that they beat Ben Johnson 2 of 5 times that he was beat this season.
Mhm.
That would be a big deal to them, I think, given how everything, whether they tell you or not, it would matter when it's all said and done to that fan base. So 2 weeks to come. It's going to be awesome. We're going to have to wait and see what happens. Show the Cubs here. Bears need to beat SF, and they need SF to beat Seattle. That's true. You need to hope to get a chance of the 1 seed and see what happens. And yeah, of course, they're going to need to beat the Lions. You need to win out to see what happens. And if that happens, as Marty Blanco says, Chicago has a great chance. Gentlemen, why don't we get into the first segment for this matchup?
The baddest man.
All right, we got the graphic up provided by the great Butkus Stats, as always. Q unable to join us this evening. This is the 49ers breakdown and see how these teams shape up, where the strengths and weaknesses of the team are at. And as we get into our first segment of Baddest Man, Brendan, I will let you lead this one off here. Who's the guy in the 49ers that scares the shit out of you the most?
Well, you're looking at the chart and knowing how Q likes to break this down, it's very clear that one side of the ball is a little bit better than the other. And part of that is due to some significant injuries. I'm for my baddest man. There's 2 big choices that I'm looking at, and I think I'm going to go Juwan Jennings for my baddest man. He doesn't have the eye-popping stats. He only has about 566 receiving yards this season. He's missed a couple games as well due to injury. He's got 8 touchdowns, though, so he's very, very reliable in the red zone. He's one of their best third downs, or one of the best third down wide receivers in all of the leagues. Really come along over the last few years. And I just think with how the Bears at times, they're good at getting teams into third down situations. But when you have an offense, and like you had talked about before, somebody like Kyle Shanahan who can scheme guys open, and you have somebody as reliable as Jennings, I think there's some mismatch opportunities in the secondary, especially if the Bears can't generate pressure. And Juwan Jennings, I mean, it's not a great receiving core by any means, but he definitely is one of those chain movers that you have to make sure you get off the field, because that's how the Niners can get just great long sustained drives, particularly with some of the other possible baddest men. So I'm going with Juwan Jennings.
I like it. Strong pick. Samir, where are you going?
Yeah, so like Santa Claus said, there's one side of the ball is clearly the strength of this team right now, and I'm going on that side of the ball as well. We talk about the Avengers, but I'm going to go with the guy that touches the ball every single play. I'm going to go with Brock Purdy. He lit him up last year. I think he had 145 quarterback rating last year. And I mean, gosh, the game against the Colts, 5 touchdowns, 1 interception. He looks to be back, right, from that toe injury that he was dealing with. Now, what I noticed this year is the Bears really seem to struggle with these mobile quarterbacks. I'm not talking about the Lamars that like can take off and run. I'm talking about the mobile guys that little guys that kind of scurry around, go to the edge, find a lane. You look at Snoop Huntley, you look at Malik Willis, what these guys were able to do against that Bears defense. And I think Brock Purdy is a very good version of those types of quarterbacks. These guys that can be accurate, a little bit mobile, can pick stuff up with their legs, break contain a little bit because they're sneaky athletic and throw on the move. They do struggle with that. And I think Brock has his mojo. He's got his Avengers. We'll see what Kittle's health shakes out to be, but I think he's a smart, accurate quarterback, and I think that's gonna give him problems.
Indeed, and Murtis Blanco in agreement. Brock was their pick.
You're welcome.
As well. Man, I'm gonna stay very, very on Ron Luce brand here. The guy is one of the oldest players in the NFL and still getting it done at a high level. Trent Williams is a bad man. Trent Williams is one of the best left tackles of all time. Maybe just best lineman of all time. This guy is everything and more that you could hope. And how about the 49ers getting this guy continuing to produce this late in his career? still at such a high level. That's a huge advantage when you can do that. Yeah, he's getting paid, but he's still proven that he's that dude until otherwise spoken, and that allows a guy like Brock Purdy to be mobile and be able to get out and do a lot of things that we see Caleb do on a pretty week-to-week basis, right? They've got that strength. There's one spot on the line that's a little weaker than the others, but they're good enough everywhere else where they can largely cover that up. And Trent Williams, huge piece of that. I mean, really, both of their tackles are so good. But man, Trent Williams, good football player. So
But the Bears have the great equalizer. That is Dominique Robinson. So he's going to Dominique Robinson was the one who made Trent Williams look mortal for some reason. So let's see it again.
Yeah. Could you imagine? Wow, that'd be crazy. That'd be a big one. That'd be an absolute big one. We'll keep it moving here to the other side of the football. Our baddest men for the Chicago Bears. Samir, I'll let you pick your guy here first.
I'm going to go with Purdy's counterpart. I'm going to go with the Iceman, number 18. Obviously, this seems like low-hanging fruit. That's right. And did you know, I read this online, so I don't know if it's true or not, but this is means bear in sign language, apparently. So it's like doubly as cool, I guess. But yeah, let's go with 18. We just saw what Phillip Rivers, 44-year-old Phillip Rivers, did to this Niners defense. You know, Saleh is a good defensive coordinator, but he just doesn't have the horses, you know. I mean, Hafley was kind of in the same boat, but they were able still to get a little bit of pressure on Caleb. I just don't think they don't have a ton of names on that defense. They rank 22nd in pass defense. They average about 230 yards per game. And I think Caleb, you know, playing indoors, playing fast, he's going to be able to carve them up. And Ben Johnson's going to put the receivers in good positions to be open. And I think Caleb's going to have a big day.
Completely fair. Brendan.
Well, as Santa Claus, I really am inclined to give bad things to the bad people, the naughty kids, the naughty people that I see on my list. But I have nothing but presents and glory to give the baddest man on the Bears, which is DJ Moore right now, which is crazy to think because 2-3 weeks ago, we were all saying that this guy was the, you know, nicest man. He was a non-factor in the offense, which is true. But over the last 2 weeks, he has reemerged, I should say, because we've seen this in the past, but as a true difference maker in the passing game. First of all, getting hit and blindsided the way he did, hits like that can knock guys out of the game. It was a dirty hit from what Keyshawn Nixon did to him early on. It's a shame that it wasn't flagged because who knows what happens after that. But then to only miss, I checked, he only missed 3 offensive snaps the rest of the way. He was gassed. I know it was tough sometimes. He was doing his best to get back to the line of scrimmage and running cardio at times when the Bears offense was on the field. He didn't complain. He kept his head in the game, made quite a few impactful plays. I mean, yes, we're talking about the touchdown that he just burned Nixon on in overtime, but how about the deep in route to set him up late in the fourth quarter for the Ja'Day Walker touchdown? And I just see a different DJ Moore in terms of the chemistry with Caleb Williams and the relationship. I think, you know, and I tweeted this out earlier this week, like relationships sometimes don't, like they take time to work sometimes. Sometimes you get instant chemistry, other times you have to work for it. And I believe that Caleb and DJ had to work on their chemistry and their relationship, even going into like earlier this year. It wasn't that they hated each other or anything. It's just, it wasn't the same chemistry that maybe DJ had with other quarterbacks, but something changed. And the trust that DJ has in Caleb now, he went out of his way to tweet like my QB. I think that says something because DJ never tweets. How he was singing his praises like after the game, like my boy, and like, you know, hugging him. You didn't see that emotion out of DJ before. There's something has been unlocked in DJ Moore. I think part of it is the belief in the offense, and part of it is the belief in Caleb. And now we are seeing what Moore can actually do in this offense. And I think, as Samir said, the pass defense is very, very abysmal for the 49ers. Caleb's going to pick this team apart, and DJ is going to have a hell of a game, just going all over the field.
Great points. And I think, too, when Ben Johnson's offense needs a guy to step up, when depth is being challenged, DJ Moore did an incredible job doing that. Because that happens with Ben Johnson offenses, right? Like, you get to a point in the season where, like, the Lions would be like, hey, it's the two running backs, it's maybe Laporta, and it's just pitch and catch with Goff and Amon-Ra all day long, right? When you need to simplify it and make sure you got that one guy to go to, DJ Moore has stepped up big. So great choice there. Santa Claus, I'm going to go maybe a little off the wall for my baddest man. But there's a chance that these two receivers miss another week. There's a chance that Luther Burden is out. There's a chance that Roma Dunze is out. And as discussed already about the 49ers Colts game, Rivers was able to do a lot over the middle. Colston Loveland, I think, has a special chance to be a bad dude this week. And I think if all goes right, he's going to feast, maybe have a George Kittle-esque performance in his own house, because the Bears are probably going to really want to attack over the middle of this defense, whether it's against linebackers, whether it's against their interior defensive line that has struggled a bit. I bet you all kinds of money that Ben Johnson is going to try to attack between those hash marks as much as humanly possible. Colson Loveland's going to be a big part of it. So that is my baddest man for the Bears. Gentlemen, we'll keep these wheels moving here and get to our next segment.
The nicest man.
Santa, I'll tell you what, there's nothing that brings me holiday cheer more than that puppy. Every single freaking time. Speaking of Santa, I want to turn it over to you, good sir. Who's your nicest
for the
man?
for the nicest man? Well, Ron, if you look in your stocking on Christmas, you may see a little puppy as well, just like that one. You may not. Also,
let's go.
Okay. Just hold on. Yeah, hold on that belief though.
For liability purposes, I have to put that in writing, that I sign off on you telling me that, right or wrong.
Yeah, apparently, I guess. Yeah, but Santa doesn't deal in legalities, clearly. So, oh man, I feel like I've picked on this guy a lot, but it keeps showing up. I just don't know what Jaquan Brisker's doing much these days. I feel like he gets burned way too much. He's not making impact plays. Thank goodness that Malik Willis completely missed I think it was Christian Watson. He was running free right down the middle, and he went with his first read, which was the tight end. I think it was Musgrave off the sideline. It was still like a good gain. It was like 10 yards. But nobody was within a mile of Christian Watson, and that's because Jaquan Brisker just bit on a really bad play action and couldn't recover. There's been multiple times where Brisker's late getting the balls. You've seen it the last few weeks, and now facing another offensive genius, quote unquote, going from LaFleur to Shanahan. I think that's going to get exposed once again. He just, credit to him for staying healthy. And at least providing stability at the safety position this year, because that was the biggest question with him. I give him a lot of credit for that. But I just am not seeing any special traits with Brisker. Maybe he's doing some things like, a little bit deeper that I'm not aware of, or, I'm not seeing. That could be the case. But I'm just seeing more bad than good from Brisker this over the last few weeks. And I'm afraid, again, going against Kyle Shanahan, that's going to get exposed.
Fair point, and I think a great selection. Samir.
Yeah, I'm totally with you on Brisker. I think he was my nicest man last week, and he just hasn't proved otherwise, right? I'm totally with you there. I'm going to go with a guy who actually made a pretty good play last week in overtime. Linebacker TJ Edwards for my nicest man this week. He had the great play when Willis in overtime. I'm not going to take anything away from that. I think this could be a particularly tough matchup for him, though. CMC is having a pretty good season. Now he's averaging less than 4 yards per carry. He's been doing a lot of damage out of the backfield as a recipient of the football. He had 2 receiving touchdowns against the Colts. I worry that Edwards is going to have to try to keep pace with CMC out of the backfield on some of these plays. While his instincts are good, he's just not as fast as he used to be. And then with Chauncey Gardner-Johnson maybe banged up a little bit, we don't really know what his status is yet. You might see Edwards in more coverage than he or Dennis Allen would like. So I just kind of worry that you're going to see a lot of Edwards chasing McCaffrey on some of these plays, on some of these pass plays. You'll be like, how did that guy get so wide open? And you're going to be like, oh, that's why.
Another good selection as well. Samir, I'm going to stay on the defensive side of the football.
All right.
Tough matchup this week for the young Austin Booker against a future Hall of Famer. I think he could struggle. I think we've seen it when he's against tackles that are okay. He tends to thrive, but I think elite tackles still kind of shut him down as an every down D end or even pass rusher, really, where he can't be quite hidden yet. They don't have that other piece where then you could bring him in and he's like that kind of sneaky third option, I think, over the long game for a team. I just think he's going to struggle this week. It's the matchup for him this week. Trent Williams is going to probably, and maybe Austin Booker is such a nice a man that he gives way to Dominic Robinson to come in and have the game of the century. So we'll have to wait and see. I hope I'm wrong. I love to be wrong, but I just don't think I will be wrong this week when it comes to the Bears defensively. Back to the 49ers, Samir. Where are we going here?
I am going to go with the guy next to Trent Williams. And Ron, I apologize if this was going to be the guy you were going to look at.
That's okay.
You can still take it because I'm sure you'll do it way more justice than me. But I was doing some research here to be like, who do I want to pick on for this? It didn't feel fair for some of these defensive replacements. So I went with the left guard, Spencer Burford, who is not having a great season. I think he was actually benched at one point, if I read that correctly. But he is out of 77 qualifying guards, ranked 73rd by PFF. I know it's PFF, so take it with a grain of salt, for pass protection. And he is, I think, like 65th overall out of 77. So he's really struggled on that interior offensive line. And our boy Grady Jarrett has been coming on pretty strong the last couple of games. So I'm hoping that he can exploit this nicest man here and generate some pressure on old Brock there, or at least bat some passes down.
Samir, I'll tell you what, don't ever give me more credit than I deserve, because you did a better job explaining that than I could have, because you did your research, and that's proper, because I admittedly wasn't going that direction. So I'm glad you brought it up.
Oh,
Santa Claus,
great.
Who are we adding to the nice list?
Well, I don't like to do this, but screw it. I'm Santa Claus this week. I can do whatever I want. I'm just going to take the entire San Francisco 49ers pass rush. It's abysmal. And they just cannot get after the quarterback. They have 18 sacks as a team, easily worst in the league. Yes, they've had injuries upon the defensive line. I know, Samir, I think you mentioned that as, a reason you may not have wanted to go defense, but guys, it's bad. Like, this is like 2022 Bears bad. Their leading sackers, they have Bryce Huff with 4, and then notable draft bust, Cleveland Farrell also with 4. They just cannot seem to get to the quarterback. And now they're facing a Bears team that has a stout offensive line and a quarterback who doesn't go down. So this should be a very good opportunity for the Bears passing offense to not only exploit, like we said, like the secondary issues there, but Caleb should have more than enough time to keep things open, to keep plays alive, possibly, even get some good scrambles in. So I just think the 49ers pass rush is so nice. I will give them many, many presents this year because they need something to lift their spirits up.
a beautiful selection. See, you're just trying to help the greater good and taking more than one person. I think that's very selfless of you, Santa Claus.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, this feels a little bit like a shot, but I don't think it's totally unwarranted. And I'm going to go with every wide receiver not named Jawan Jennings on the 49ers. I think it's been a very inconsistent year for their receiving core, that outside of guys named Kittle and Jennings. And the CMC has been effectively the number one receiver in this offense for a large part of the season because of injury, because of inconsistency. And I think if the 49ers are going to have the same passing success, especially we got to watch Kittle's status as well. You mentioned CJ Gardner-Johnson, Samir, on the other side of the football. We got to keep an eye on what George Kittle's status is. If he's not playing, they have one legitimate option that has proven something that can beat the Bears. And I think that screams an opportunity for Santa. You mentioned it as already. Purdy maybe can't put two primetime good games together then, if that's the case, and that's what he's left with. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of challenge those guys. Like, they need to step up if the 49ers are going to be able to do what they want to do offensively this week, because I think even though the Bears defense has its flaws, they are going to thrive if you cannot get guys open in takeaways and turnovers. And I think that's what they're going to try to force with Shanahan this week. And so I'm going to go with those guys. Anybody not named Jawan Jennings that plays wide receiver. Gentlemen, we'll move on to our final segment.
Keys to victory.
Gentlemen, keys to victory. This one's always my favorite because as we recapped from this last game, none of the keys of victory happened, and the Bears still won the football game, which not so good for us. Incredible for the Bears because we'll take wins and they're defying what we believe is a good game plan. I'm always most excited about this part of the show and seeing how these align. So Samir, I want to start with you here. Your keys to victory for this week.
All right. So as you guys know, I like to do two. I like to do an offense and a defense. So for the offense, I think just keep pace, right? The 49ers are going to score points. The Bears have to be able to match that. If they come out flat like they did against the Packers, they're not going to be able to recover as easily. Look at the Colts. The Colts tried to keep pace going back and forth a little bit, but eventually they just ran out of gas and they couldn't do it. The Bears have to be able to match that play for play at the beginning of the game. You cannot come out flat. For the defense, don't let Purdy break contain. The Bears are going to play a lot of man because DA likes that, and Purdy is great against the zone. Great. But if you let him run around everywhere, that man becomes much harder to play. So you got to get home with 4. You got to keep the contain. Austin Booker broke contain several times on Malik Willis in the Packer game, and you saw what Willis was able to do with his legs. The Bears have to keep Purdy in the pocket and not let him loose. So those are my keys.
Important keys for this week. Santa Claus, what would you like to add?
Well, the first one, I'll also have a couple like Samir. The first one, stop CMC, contain CMC. Do whatever it is you have to do to make sure Christian McCaffrey does not break you, whether it's both in the run game or the passing game. If I'm Dennis Allen, I am issuing a personal challenge to Tremaine Edmonds to do what it takes now at that weak linebacker position. He's had a week back. Didn't look too rusty, if I remember correctly, kind of watching back. But I'm hoping now that he's kind of got his feet back under him, he can be a big factor in stopping the run game and just being that spy sort of on Christian McCaffrey. Because I think, we had talked about, if you can kind of make the 49ers one-dimensional, Ron, as you said, they don't have many weapons outside of that. And I think it's going to be – I'd be surprised if George Kittle plays. And for as good as former Bears legend Jake Tongas has been, that just doesn't scare me nearly as much as somebody like Kittle. So you contain CMC. I think you make the 49ers offense so much more one-dimensional. And, yeah, I don't know if I said it, if we were on the air or if we were just talking beforehand. I just think that Brock Purdy either has like a great primetime game or he's ass in primetime. He just had a great primetime game. I just don't think he's going to put two back to back. So we'll see about that. And then for the Bears offense, I've said it every week, but I'm going to kind of put it, make it a twist. Start fast and get points. Everything was looking beautiful last week until they tried that fourth down play with the direct snap to Kyle Monangai with Cole Kmet under center. Although when I was watching with my buddy, he's like, it looks like he's taking a piss. And I was like, yeah, you're right. With just how he was lined up. But start fast and just stick with the bread and butter. Like the Bears rushing offense is so good. They're passing. They can get a bunch of stuff underneath through the middle. Like we talked about before, the middle of the field was wide open against this 49ers defense. Don't get cute. Just stick to the nasty part of your offense and get points early and play from ahead for once against one of these good teams, because as much as these fourth quarter comebacks and overtime thrilling victories are fun, it would just be nice to have a lead against a team like the 49ers instead of having to, get a bunch of breaks. So that's my keys.
A bunch of breaks and a lot of work to get back in those situations when you're trying to play from behind. And there's something about playing from behind. It's when teams get hurt. It's just when bad juju happens on the football field. So get ahead, stay ahead. I like it. I'm actually going to build off of that last point, Brendan, with my key to victory here. And it's time of possession. We know the 49ers can strike fast. We know what that offense is capable of. And even if you can't necessarily stop them when they get the ball, you need at least 2 bend, don't break drives, and you need to fucking own the clock. It needs to be that. You need to, as you said, run the football, do what you do best. This is a middle of a defense against the 49ers that you can exploit in that aspect. Go ahead and run it down their throat. And then when the play action opens up, attack the middle of the field with a Colston Loveland, with a DJ Moore, and with whomever else is available depending on injury this coming week. I am really, really challenging the Bears to do like almost Eagle level work with the time of possession. Just long drives, own the football, grind it down. It ain't got to be sexy, but just capitalize when you have the football. And maybe it is a very similar, we got a comment way earlier in the show. And maybe I'll just lead us into our score predictions. It was up next anyway on the schedule here. Scott from Iowa said, this team from Destiny. He says, Bears win 27-24 on the way to the 1 seed. But that's kind of where that point is going. Like time of possession, if you have one meaningful scoring drive every quarter, 28 points. That's what you're hoping for. And then you get a couple bend, don't breaks, and maybe that matching 28 from the 49ers is only 23 or 24. And that's a lot more bearable and manageable over the course of a full game. And you can pull out a victory by doing that. I firmly believe that's where they need to go. And we'll just have to wait and see if they can do that. Again, really struggled with that against the Packers. To an extent with the Browns. I mean, they had some quick ending drives, but usually when they got the football, they just marched quickly. I want just slow, methodical, gross, pound the rock football. Like that's what we need to see in this game. So time of possession is going to be key. And if they can do that, Brendan, I think everything that you said, that start fast, get points will transpire. Guys, before we start to wrap things up, we have to get to our score predictions for this week. Scott from Iowa shared his with ours already, setting the tempo with a 27-24 Bears victory. Santa Claus, you can't be cooking the numbers now because I know you know everything and who everybody is in the world. But what's your score prediction here? And should we tail you this coming weekend for a nice little Christmas gift from you, perhaps?
Well, look, Ron, Santa knows who is naughty, who is nice. Santa knows what you did 3 weeks ago late at night that you don't want to tell anybody, but it's okay. Santa knows, and that secret stays with us. Unfortunately, Santa doesn't know the score predictions, because if Santa could gamble and make money off this, you think I really would be delivering presents for the rest of my life and eternity? I don't think so. But if I had to predict, I do think that this is tough, and this is tough early in the week because we have to see what the injuries kind of come out to be. The Bears essentially out of practice. They didn't need to release a injury report, but it doesn't sound like Luther Burden or Roma Dunze were there. You mentioned Samir, CJ Gardner-Johnson. We got to see what he looks like. And then with George Kittle, I think it was tough for the Bears to win that game without both of their wide receivers against the Packers. So if both of them don't play, I think this is going to be tough to like score kind of like that 28 points you were talking about. However, I think coming back on a short week is going to be tough for the Niners. Like I said before, they haven't played, like they've beaten teams. They've played good football, but they haven't played great football for the majority of it. And they're definitely beatable. I think the Bears are going to get this game. I'm going to say 21-19, another nail biter. Look, the Bears, they've split with 49ers going back over 10 years now. It's crazy. Like it's been win-loss, win-loss, win-loss. The last meeting was a loss. I'm choosing to believe that the fate says it's going to be a win now, for just pretty much no reason other than hope. But I also think that these Bears, they're playing so well together, even when they have a million penalties, even when they can't like get points or score touchdowns until 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter. No matter what it is, they find ways to win. And I believe that they're not going to have the same sort of offensive issues, even with those injuries that they did against the Packers because of how good Jeff Hafley is there. So I think it's going to be a narrow victory, and we'll see if the 1 seed is in play.
Another nail biter. Another game takes some years off of our lives. Samir, what is your score prediction?
All right. Very well laid out there, Brendan. Hard to argue with any of that. You're right. It's tough with the injuries, not knowing who's going to be around. But one stat I did hear is that the Niners are 0-4 in games after CMC has 27 touches or more. And guess how many touches he had against the Colts?
29.
27. Oh. Right there. So Niners don't do well, right? CMC gets overused. They don't do well. Kittle's banged up like we talked about. And then, just based on last week's results, the Bears barely winning in overtime, looking kind of dead for most of the game. The Niners setting the world on fire. You'd think the line would be more in favor of San Fran in a home game, but it's just a 3-point game, which leads me to believe that Vegas is finally buying into the Bears after there being 6.5, 7-point dogs, the 2 weeks in a row with the Eagles and Packers. I think we're getting a little bit of respect. In my hot takes that we did, Ron, I said I didn't think the Bears would lose another game this season after the Browns game. I can't go back on that now after, going 1-for-1. So I think that the Bears will win a shootout. I think it's going to be a fun, high-scoring game. I'm going to go 35-31 Bears.
Ooh.
Yeah, fun one.
Could use a good offensive shootout in my life right now because that's not something we're used to as Chicago Bears.
No.
You'll take one every once in a while. I love that.
Yeah.
Absolutely love that. Good friend of the show from Cubs on Tap, Darren here. Always get 3 points for home, so it's an even spread. Yep. Yeah, 100% right. I mean, this is effectively a toss-up game. I mean, everybody's like, they're really good. They're both really good. Let's wait and see what happens. And I think because of that, that's why I'm saying, for some reason, the Bears tend to have those grinded out drives more on the road than they do at home. I don't know what it is. It's just, I have no numbers to support this, by the way. I did not. This is just off the cusp. But it always feels like when they're on the road, they can put together those just grind you down drives. I think back to that Raiders game. The last time the Bears were really out west this season, you sit there and you go, they kind of had some of those grinded out drives to get big points and have an opportunity in that game. You think to the Eagles game, naturally. Even that first Packers game, I think the Bears had better drives in terms of length and just grinding it down in the first Packers game than they did in the second. I think they're going to do it again. And I'm ready for that. And, it's San Fran. It's it's further north in California, I think, than people like realize. Like, it's a little more, it's cooler. It's starting to get cold weather for San Francisco, right? Like, truly colder weather than it is in the summertime. I think the Bears walk in there, and I think they just grind the shit out of the football. And like, it's not going to be like aesthetically pretty, but it's just they're going to have to, because they want to keep Shanahan's offense off the field as much as humanly possible. I think that's the best way. You just run the football into submission is the best way. Just suffocate the 49ers offensively. I think because of that, the Bears are going to do enough, and I think they're going to get one extra possession. Something's going to happen where they get that one extra possession, probably only get 3 points out of it. I'm going to say Bears 31, 49ers 24. That is my prediction for this game. So, yeah,
but, By the way, Ron, I was just because first of all, both you guys, Samir, that CMC stat is phenomenal. Great job on that. Like, I love that. And then Ron, thinking about the weather, Sunday night right now, the low is going to be 39. So you're probably looking at like a 40s game time. So not exactly cold, but definitely like,
cooler,
somewhat chilly.
100%. I'm excited. I'm excited to see
so pumped
how this one plays out. Gentlemen, I want to turn the floor to each of you really quick. Samir, starting with you. Final thoughts before we get away for the holidays.
No, just everybody, congrats on a playoff game one way or another. It's been so long. I'm so excited about it. Would I rather it not be against the Packers? Secretly, probably. But that's okay. We'll play whoever gets in front of us. Let's just enjoy the rest of the season. I think the last two games are going to be a great barometer for the Bears heading into the playoffs. If they went out like I expect them to, that is such great momentum going into the playoffs, coming off victories against the Packers, the 49ers, and the Lions, to be like, yeah, we're ready. Bring it on. Whoever we got to play, we're going to win.
Yep. Absolutely. Bring it on, and let's see what happens. I'm ready for it. Brendan, or excuse me, I'm sorry, Santa Claus, you're going to be very busy the next 2 days. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I will, but I obviously will always make time for my Bears. The Bears are my favorite team. Just a couple fun facts / notes. So today was Pro Bowl roster day. The Bears had 3 players make the Pro Bowl. Quite a few omissions, though. And I'm always interested to see how that goes for the first game back. So somebody like Nashawn Wright, I know he's like, I'm not motivated by the Pro Bowl. I want him to make the Super Bowl and all that. I'm sure he does. But for somebody like him who has just come on so strong, I'm sure it means something to him to not be named to that, especially when guys like Micah Parsons, of all people, it's like, hey, Nashawn Wright should be a Pro Bowler. I wonder if he's going to have a big game and kind of play with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. Same thing with the other omissions, but he, of course, was the most notable one. The Bears, this is a sad stat, but the Bears have lost 9 quote unquote Sunday night football games in a row, dating back to 2018. It could be technically 10 if you want to count the playoff game, because that was an NBC Sunday night game with Chris and Al back in the day. So this would be a chance for them to snap that streak. The last time they did play on Sunday Night Football in San Francisco, though, if you remember, it was the 2014 Week 2 game when Jay Cutler had that same cardiac Bears type of game and had 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. So it was very memorable. And this is the 6th game that a different Bears head coach is going to coach against 49ers in a row, which is kind of crazy. So, yeah, Ron, I didn't know if you saw the stats. So in 2017, John Fox, 2018, Matt Nagy, 2021, Chris Tabor, because of the COVID game, he had the headset. 22 was Matt Eberflus, 2024, Thomas Brown, his first game, and now 25, Ben Johnson.
Wow.
Very weird.
Nice pull, Santa Claus. That's some good research right there. Well done, sir.
There's some good research. I love that. That's absolutely wild. I'll tell you what, I'm ready for football, but most off, very excited for the holidays. Merry Christmas to all who celebrate Santa. I know you'll be very busy. I hope your days go wonderfully and you're on the beach by Friday. Um, enjoy. Be excited to talk about with your family about the Bears again, man. There is no how about them Bears this year? Yeah, normal shit. Nope, not this year. I got a picture. I got a picture from my one of my uncles. He went down to Atlanta, where one of my other uncles lives, and they're getting together for Christmas. And my cousin and my uncle both wearing Bears jerseys the night before Christmas Eve. I was like, that's sick. I fucking love it, dude. When this Bears team is good, man,
Dude.
there is nothing. Have you guys ever seen the viral clip of Shumpert on the podcast when he's talking to DeRozan about the strippers in the luxury box at the UC? And he's talking about, the city is lit. The city is lit. If you've seen it, go look it up. You'll understand what I'm talking about. Like, that's when the Bears are good. Like, that's the city of Chicago. And I'm just riding the high right now, man. We're going to ride it through the holidays, and we're going to get excited for a football game on Sunday Night Football. And I cannot wait. If you haven't already, head over on tapsportsnet.com. Of course, at OnTap Sportsnet on YouTube and on all the socials. Like, subscribe, hit that bell button. You'll know when we all go live. Be sure to follow all of us as well. All of our Twitter handles are here in the video, in our nameplates. We appreciate you guys. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. And gentlemen, bear down.
Merry Christmas, bear down.
Ho, 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 bear down. And and to all, good night. Yeah, I got it.
There you go. You got it right.